alive and well here in Radio Land. And I hope you are waking up to a beautiful, beautiful day. The sun has already peeked its way on out. You know, it's amazing how quickly time flies when the sun is shining. Isn't that just the truth? Used to be just not too long ago that it was dark when I would start this show, and now the sun is already out here to greet us. And isn't that just a beautiful, beautiful thing? And I'm so blessed and honored to be here with you this morning to share on this opening of a new day, this opening of your sweet little eyes and the stretch of your pretty little toes. And so welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to your Monday, basically. We are in love with life. We are so happy to be here. We are just loving things, And for those of you that are just now waking up, go on ahead and get on up, get on ready, get yourself together. Don't forget to make your bed and get your life right. It's so important to know that there's so much going on in the world, but your center is clear, your life is in alignment, your mind is focused, and you are ready to take on what today has for you. So there are a couple conversations that have really been floating around the airwaves, if you will, here recently, and one of them has really struck me as quite interesting. I want to share it with you. So a new study came out actually over the weekend in the Health Day News about children and their weight. Now, this is such a special conversation, especially because for a lot of adults, they don't really think of children as somebody who needs to be kind of monitoring what they're eating, monitoring their exercise, monitoring, what their intake is. But the truth is there's really some interesting things going on here. All right. So both parents and doctors actually kind of often overlook the weight of children and whether children are overweight or underweight. And so it's challenging because for young people, for little people, for children, for our little sweet little children, they are often having an increased risk of health problems that are linked to excessive weight gain, okay? And so this study that came out interviewed 25,000 children. That's a lot of kids, all right? Interviewed 25,000 children ages 19 and younger and their parents. And it was a compilation of 87 different studies. And so this is what they found out. About 55% of their parents in the study, so they interviewed 25,000 children and their parents, and about 55% of those parents underestimated how much excess weight that their children were carrying. About 34% of those kids also underestimated their own weight. So for example, if the parent was like, oh, my kid is 10, he weighs 90 pounds, the truth might have been that he was 10 and he weighed 120, right? Or if the child themselves was, 16 and was like, oh, I don't know, I think I weigh like 110 pounds, they might have actually weighed like 150 pounds, things like that. And so even the healthcare providers often sometimes missed the mark. The parents of younger kids were also less likely to recognize a weight problem, and they were way less accurate at gauging boys' weight than girls' weight. So this is interesting because overweight parents and those with less education also were more likely to underestimate the weight of their children, kind of assuming that the children were at a healthy weight or they were in a healthy state with their body, but it's actually not being true. The interesting part is that the number of obese children and teenagers worldwide has increased 10 times. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I was just talking with the elder over the weekend, and he was talking to me about, the difference between what young people do today and what young people used to do back in the day. So, for example, a lot of kids were playing outside, right? They were playing in the neighborhood. They were kicking rocks, literally, and, playing with sticks and things like that. But nowadays, the typical young person is going to be spent doing something indoors, right? Not necessarily spending time outdoors or running up and down the streets or engaging in extracurricular activities that might not be in an organized fashion, right? They tend to spend more time on their phones. I mean, we know that 95% of our population has a smartphone, and a big part of that population is young people. You know what I'm saying? And so as a result, there have been many, many attempts to raise public awareness about the obesity problem, but our findings really indicate that, there's a gross underestimation of the children's weight, and they often are at risk for some of the bigger health issues later on, right? And so it is a really troubling thing, because the first step in addressing a weight problem is actually mutual recognition by the families and the healthcare providers that there's a problem. So if the children don't think that they have a challenge with their weight, they don't notice it. Their parents don't notice it, and their healthcare providers don't notice it. We're looking at a next generation of young people who are completely unawares of the health challenges and health risks that they may be putting themselves at risk for at 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 17 years old, that they're going to have to deal with all the way up into their later in age, right? And so the study really found that the tendency for health professionals to underestimate the weight is a big factor in them actually getting the health care that they need and also ensuring good health, right? And so we know that identifying weight problems in childhood and the teenage years can have a lifetime health impact. And so what can we do about this, right? What is the important thing about this conversation? Well, we know that, every single day, babies, their brains are growing, right? By almost like 1% per day, I believe, beginning as soon as the infants are born. And so what we realize is that when you are growing at such a rapid rate in childhood, in infancy, as a toddler, as a little person, as a teenager, there's so much change happening in the body, right? And so the reality is that this is really, really important, because for parents, especially when we notice that our kids are having challenges in school, it could be linked to the food that they're eating, the sleep that they are getting or aren't getting, right? And their overall emotional health. And so these types of things really affect, because what we often see with young people is that as soon as they step into puberty, all the issues come to the surface. What's the right weight for my kid? What's the right amount of socialization for my kid? What's the right, amount of water for my child? What's the right amount of exercise for my child? All of these different questions really come to the surface. And it's important because the average kid can be expected to grow almost like 10 inches before they actually reach their full adult height. And some kids start developing like as early as age 8. Right? And some of them not until 14. And so it can be normal for two kids to be the same gender and have two very different weights. You know what I'm saying? And be the same age. And so it's really important to understand these concepts, because we as adults, we have a lot of control over the input that our kids get, what they're consuming physically, like what they're actually eating, what they are listening to, right? We also have a lot of control over their mindset and their mentality, at least up to a certain age. And we have this opportunity to expose them to certain conversations that are really quite key, that we can start talking to them about at a very, very young age, right? So it's not necessarily that you need to make sure your kid is too skinny or too overweight or anything like that. But really the truth is that there are symptoms that go along with this, right? So if your child has a persistent cough or often gets a lot of fevers or has diarrhea or constipation, those can be signs that there's some challenges going on. Either the child could be overweight or underweight, right? And we know that there is a role that's played not only in our genetics, but also in our food. And so you'll hear me talk about food a lot, because as it turns out, there are many things that kind of loop back to that, not only for children, but also for adults. And so our children's health should be of like the umpteenth priority, because what do we know about the children? They are the future. And I know it's a cute saying that we love to talk about, but the truth of the matter is the children are the future. Okay? It really is real. And so your child's weight, you know what I mean, and what they are putting into their body is really, really, really quite important. Their personality traits are attached to that sometimes. Their activity levels are attached to that. And what we know about children, and this is, you can find in all types of holy books across the space, is they say, train the child up in the way that they should go, and when they get older, they will not depart. You know what I'm saying? So if we're not taking the time to educate our children, to listen to them, to make space for them to have emotional range, to express themselves, to figure out their likes and dislikes, to develop their personality, then we are doing our young people a disservice. And we can't even be mad if we're not taking the time that it needs to actually nurture these relationships with children. When we dismiss young people and when we forget about them and when we assume that what they have to say is not important, that's a problem. And so whether it's making sure the child is getting adequate exercise or making sure that they're reading good books or just giving them hugs and love and spending that time and not always rushing off to where we got to go, we have to know that our children really are our future. And if we want to impact the nation, our communities, it not only starts in the young people, it starts at home. And so we're going to have a conversation today about exactly how it is that you can, bring those conversations into your space, how you can open up your conversations to include all the different facets of family life, because we know that family is the crux of a community, right? First, we have us as individuals. We as individual people, we bring our own conversations to the space. We bring everything that we encompass mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, socially, all that good stuff. And then as an individual, we're part of a family, and that family creates our community. And so when we consider all the levels of community, it lets us know, and it really begs the question, how do we build community amongst all of these challenges, amongst challenges around weight, amongst challenges around communication styles, amongst challenges around abuse and, domestic violence? I mean, we have a lot going on in our communities that is often unaddressed and undiscussed. And the reality is that we've got to bring those conversations to the very forefront so that we can build communities that we want to be a part of. Don't you want to be a part of a community that cares about you and that you care about? Of course you do. And so how exactly can we do that? So we're going to get deep into that conversation today, and we're going to be speaking a little bit later on with an organization that does so much amazing work here in the city of Philadelphia around this exact topic: how we build healthy families, how we bring awareness to some of the challenges that we are facing in our communities, and exactly what it's going to take to make this thing happen, to get this thing shaking bacon. Well, not bacon, not real bacon, not pork butt bacon. Shaking faking bacon, shaking vegan bacon. I'm just kidding. My jokes are so corny. It's currently 6:20 a.m. here in Radio Land, here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial. You are listening to the soothing sounds of Halana here in the morning, on Daybreak, guest hosting for Thera Martin, and I am so appreciative of you. If you have plans to get out the door by 6:30 a.m., let me just let you know, you got about 9 minutes to make that happen. So do what you got to do. Go ahead and grab your smile, grab your packed lunch, and get on out the door so you can embrace this beautiful day. It is currently Monday, April 29th, here fresh and in the morning, and the weather, y'all, it's chilly. I'm not even going to lie. It's 43 degrees outside. Many of us felt that chill last night, chill in the bones. So make sure that you do bundle up and stay warm. It's only going to get about as high as 64 today. Currently 43 degrees, literally chilly. Sun has already risen. Sun is out and shining, and it's going to get about as high as 64 degrees this Monday. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, don't you dare touch that dial. I got a great interview in store for you.
At Dietz & Watson, we've spent over 75 years focusing on the details. This can be traced back to our founder, Gottlieb Dietz, who learned how to make franks and sausages the right way in Germany. Today, each one of our delicious offerings is meticulously crafted using perfected details. Because if it isn't good enough for our family, it isn't good enough for yours. To us, the details make all the difference.
Join Word Radio in partnership with Philly Tech Week for Decoded, a conversation with Sylvester Mobley, Wednesday, May 8th in the New Heim Center for Cultural and Civic Engagement at the Central Library, 1901 Vine Street, from 1 p.m. till 2 p.m. Doors open at 12:30. Word President and CEO Sarah Lomax-Reese sits down with Sylvester Mobley, founder of Coded by Kids, recognized innovator in tech education, and 2019 winner of the Philadelphia Award, to discuss how we can empower the next generation of tech entrepreneurs. You don't want to miss this innovative and insightful discussion. Seats are very limited, so RSVP today at wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875. And remember, membership has its privileges. This event will mark your last opportunity to be entered to win our 4Word member-only Mother's Day prize package. Plus, 4Word members will receive priority seating. Not a member? Start or renew your membership today at wordradio.com. Sponsored by Comcast, NBC Universal, and Pico. Listen live at wordradio.com.
Walter E. Sabbath Jr. Funeral Service is introducing Cremations Are Us by Sabbath. That's S-A-B-B-A-T-H. Cremations Are Us by Sabbath is the result of their 26 years of experience with individuals and families who choose cremation. Sabbath knows that families who choose cremation have the same needs as those who choose burial. Sabbath's new component, Cremations Are Us by Sabbath, emphasizes the wide selection of services they've always offered. Visit their website, sabbathcare.com, for details, or call 215-924-4101.
This is Cody Anderson. Palace Travel provided me with one of the most memorable trips I've taken to Ghana, West Africa. Palace Travel specializes in tours to Africa, including Ghana, Senegal, and South Africa. Throughout the year, Palace Travel has scheduled trips to Africa, including the next Panafest celebration in Ghana, July 2019. The trip of a lifetime, the historic return of the African diaspora after 400 years in the Americas, August 5th to 14th. Africa's improvement on Coachella, the annual Afrochella Festival in Ghana, December 27th to January 3rd. Ring in the new year in Ghana. Call Palace Travel to reserve your place on one of their scheduled Africa trips with convenient payment plans. Call Palace Travel today at 215-471-8555 or visit their website at palacetravel.com.
Now back to Daybreak with Thera Martin on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live at wordradio.com.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to the show. It is currently 6:25 a.m. here in Radio Land. Well, no, it's same time in Radio Land and in the regular land. It's the same time everywhere. 6:25 a.m. here on Monday morning. It is a cool 43 degrees outside. My good friends, make sure that you bundle up. Getting about as high as 64 degrees this morning and throughout the day. Currently Monday, April 29th, and I am here hosting for you on Daybreak. This is Halana, live and in the building on WURDradio.com. Shout out to all of our online listeners and those folks in the tri-state area and beyond, and also to our local yokels, as I like to call them, here on 96.1 FM and 900 on your AM dial in the city of Philadelphia. Don't forget that if you want to call in and connect with me and talk about this conversation, we're about to get all the way into it. You can give me a call at 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065, or toll free 1-866-361-0900. So I gave you a little teaser before the break that we were going to be speaking with a special guest today, and that indeed we are. We are speaking with Brother Herman Davis Jr., who is a youth development specialist and the CEO of Peace and Love Worldwide. Herman, welcome to the show.
What up?
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. So a couple of questions, because I think there are some people who know exactly what you do with your organization, but there are some folks who have no idea. What exactly is Peace and Love? What are you all about? What is the deal with this? Like, talk to us.
Okay, so just a little correction. I am the co-founder of Peace and Love, and I got to fix that. But my sister,
no worries.
My sister's the one who actually started Peace and Love, and I'm the co-founder of Peace and Love, and we work together. So what Peace and Love, let's start about how Peace and Love got started. We lost our oldest sister. 1985, to her hands of her husband, to domestic violence. We didn't start, that was the 85. We didn't start actually Peace and Love. The birth of Peace and Love didn't start till about 2008. My sister and I owned a restaurant and lounge in Manayunk. That business closed. My sister was doing some philanthropic work with another organization, and they said, hey, I could be doing the same work. I lost my sister. We had a death in our family, and, then we started Peace and Love. So there's quite a few tiers with Peace and Love, and one of the tiers is that, well, one, we raise awareness to how many lives that we're losing through senseless violence and domestic violence. We do life skills. We teach life skills to middle school and high school students here in the tri-state area. We have Peace and Love clubs at quite a few of the HBCUs, at the AUC in Atlanta, at Howard in D.C., Hampton in Virginia. And we also have it at a couple of universities also. We have it at Whiteland University over in Chester, PA. And overall for Peace and Love is to raise awareness, again, how many lives are losing in senseless violence and domestic violence, but more importantly, that violence is a choice. It is a conscious choice that you are making. And also, we're encouraged to show that to use art as a form of therapy, whether it's writing, just journaling, writing, painting, poetry, dancing, playing an instrument, and there's more, but I can't think. Oh, we have a for-profit side of Peace and Love. The for-profit side is we have Peace and Love apparel, Peace and Love merchandise. And we didn't get in this for the merchandise part of it, but the purpose of it is that we originally did not want to be a 501c3. We didn't want to depend on writing grants and hoping we got money. So the goal was for the for-profit side to support the nonprofit side. But, however, when in Rome, you do what the Romans do. So we are now an official 501c3 organization.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So at its core, Peace and Love is an organization that's about community and about prevention of violence, right? And you said something really key that I think is important to pull out. Violence is a choice. What about being from Philadelphia and experiencing and witnessing violence, not only on a personal level and the loss of your sister to the hands of her husband 25 years ago, but, you know, living in Philadelphia present day, you know, what are you noticing about this conversation around violence or anti-violence movements, and what is the core common, you know, kind of thread that you've seen running through this conversation over time that folks may not be aware of when it comes to violence and domestic violence?
Okay, you said what? Shorten that and answer that question again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. So you've been working on this, you know, for many, many years, and you've witnessed a lot of levels of this conversation as it's evolved around violence. And you mentioned something really key. What it is at its core, violence is a choice. What about that connects with the violence that we've experienced in Philadelphia, right? You know, the statistics around violence in Philadelphia, you know, the experience that you've had with talking with people in the community, in the schools. What is going on with this conversation around violence and domestic violence that people may not realize that you're noticing because you're having this conversation for such a long time and with so many different types of people?
Sure. One thing that I think that people don't realize is that it can happen to you. They don't realize how close they are. No one's exempt from something like this happening. You know, for example, there was I think it was a captain, a lieutenant, someone from the police force. He was a higher up police officer, but his son was I believe murdered or shot down at FDR Park. You know, nobody is exempt from them, and you don't really get it until it happens home. They don't get it. It's like they're exempt from it. Oh, it's not going to happen to me. And the sad part is that I'm watching the young people, not just the young people, but the old people. I seen a guy at IKEA in the parking lot, older gentleman, Caucasian gentleman, hopped out of his car and went over to a lady's car and ripped her windshield wiper because they was like stuck. And he got out his car, went over, and I was far back. I was in my big bus, but I'm glad I was where I was at because I would have jumped in it, mind my business, and God knows what would have happened. But I'm so glad she stayed in her car, let him do whatever he did. But what I'm noticing, my point in saying all that is that I'm noticing people are going from 0 to 100. 0 to 100. It's no medium. It's no bringing anybody down. It's no apologizing or backing out of it. We're going from 0 to 100. So that's that anger, that frustration, and again, it goes through everything. Some of the things that I learned yesterday is in our diet, it's in our everyday. It's about self-happiness or self-unhappiness, and then the media plays a major part on what we're watching every day, what we're listening to every day. You're hearing shooting, killing. This is what we're drowned with. And again, the goal of Peace and Love is let's reverse that. Let's infuse. Let's put more happiness out there. Let's put more peace and love. Even in my adversity every day, I still try to walk in it so I can live it and be it. You know what I mean? It's not an easy thing to do. It's not. It took me 20 years to forgive the man that murdered my sister. That wasn't easy. That wasn't easy. But we have to plant that seed and see what grows.
I really appreciate your honesty with that conversation because a lot of us, not just here in the city of Philadelphia, but also beyond, are also noticing that trend, right? That the media and the news, brings us a lot of that conversation. I think some folks feel that it's a part of our responsibility as community members to know what's going on in our areas, right? But then what you spoke to, I think, which is really key, is the frequency at which we hear about some of the worst, most tragic events happening. It's almost like that's all that's in the news and media, you know? And I appreciate Word and just other, you know, shows that we have here on the station that really amplify like the other things going on that are not just like, you need both, right? You need to know and be informed and be aware, but you also need to be uplifted and energized and given positive energy and an alternative to it, which is exactly what I think Peace and Love is really all about, is, you know, bringing that awareness to like, listen, this is the problem. These are the challenges. This is what we're noticing in the space. Now let's do something about it. Let's use art as a therapeutic tool, right? Let's have crucial conversations. Let's empower people with not just the daunting statistics, but also the possibilities of what they can create. And so for you, what is that message of hope that you give to either survivors of domestic abuse or those that are survivors of gun violence, et cetera? You know, what is that message of hope that you are spreading through your organization, Peace and Love?
I know one of the things that I try to emphasize on is the power of forgiveness. And it starts with self and the healing and forgiveness. So for me, there was a time that I couldn't, I hear from people, oh, Herman, you speak so well. Oh, Herman, you can talk about this, but I'm going to be honest with you. There was a time I could not talk about my sister's death. I could not talk about that pain. I would tear up. I would get a lump in my throat. You know, we just celebrated our 30-year high school reunion, and a lot of my classmates, they didn't even know that my sister was murdered when I was in the 10th grade. They didn't even know. They didn't know that I was going back and forth to court to trial in the 12th grade, dealing with my sister's husband case. A lot of my classmates didn't know this. So when I spoke about it at our 30th reunion, they was like, "Oh my God, Herman, wow, I didn't know," and I suppressed it. I suppressed it. I didn't talk about it. I put on a smile. I was, Herman, silly and laughing and always in the girls' faces. And, I didn't show my pain because I didn't know how to process it. I didn't know how to forgive the man that murdered my sister. But when I forgave him and when I, forgiving him, it's still a process. I'm still going through that process of forgiveness. You just don't go from here to forgiving and then boom, it's over. No, you still go through some challenges, some lessons through that to see if you're really wholeheartedly there. And I learned that I'm wholeheartedly there with forgiving him because I realized forgiving him has something to do with my peace of mind, my health, my anxieties, and it's real. So when I think that we realize the power in forgiveness and letting go of, there's something that we're holding on to. But when we know how to forgive and let go, that has to be one of the best feelings I've ever felt in my life.
The conversation around forgiveness, I think, is so key and so crucial. And, what's interesting is I wasn't actually expecting you to say that. I was expecting you to talk about, you can get through it, make it work, lean on your community. And not that these aren't real solutions, but I'm really excited to hear that you mentioned forgiveness as the message of hope for our community when it comes to not just the injustices that are happening and the violence, but also just like as a practice, like getting in the practice of forgiving people, even if it's somebody who cuts you off at the red light. You know what I mean? Like you said something earlier, which I want to bring back, which is we've been often going from 0 to 100. That became like a catchphrase. It's in the music. You know what I mean? It's become a cultural response to a lot of those emotions that I believe personally that I see in my work that are unaddressed, right? And so this 0 to 100, what exactly do you mean when you talk about that? And what are some examples that you've seen that you're like, listen, I've seen this and this and this happen. Like, why? This is what our response could be instead, What are some examples of that 0 to 100 that could be curbed as a different way that people can relate to? You know what I mean?
Sure. Okay, so Facebook Live, she asked me, what have I seen people going from 0 to 100? I'm gonna give an example. Just a few weeks ago, I had a gentleman helping me with some work I needed on the bus, and we went to a auto store, really decent auto store, G and Airy, I believe it was G and Airy. And this is the guy that's with me, okay? So I'm in the bus, and I said, man, let me go see if they got such and such in there. So I go inside the bus, but I go inside the business. When I go inside the business, he's like yelling at this female. And he's like, look, I came in here, just give me my thing, give me my money back. And he's snapping on her. I mean, snapping. And I'm looking at him like, what the flip? Dude, you was just in my, like, did you not see you got out of a peace and love vehicle? Like, why are you in here talking? So, he walks, he leaves out, and the ladies don't know that he's with me. So they're like, oh, my God, what is this problem? Blah, 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 blah. I said, listen, I want to apologize for him, and I want y'all to know that I'm going to speak to him about his behavior when him and I leave. I said, but that was unacceptable. I want to apologize on his behalf, but I also want to say this, that we don't know how he woke up this morning. You don't know what he's dealing with. And I'm going to say the exact same thing to him when we get in the car, because he don't know what you guys are dealing with or whatever. I don't know what happened when we started that, but, it was unacceptable. So I get back on the get back in the bus and we drive, and I said, yo, my man, I said, I don't know if you realize I didn't tell you what peace and love is all about. I said, yo, but I'm in so disagreement on how you just were talking to that lady. I said, that's one thing I'm not going to deal with. You definitely not going to do that in my company, is be disrespectful to a female. That's not happening. Well, Herman, I asked about this product. I said, my man, I understand. I said, but you don't know how she left her house. You don't know what she's dealing with. And she doesn't know what you're dealing with. So, avoid going from 0 to 100. Somebody has to stop. Somebody. Be the one that stops. Be the ones that say, you know what? This person might be dealing with X, Y, Z. I don't know what they're doing. Say, you know what? I apologize. And if apologizing is a big deal, don't apologize. Just bring it down. Just change your input. When somebody cuts you off in traffic, just let them go. Let them have it. Just let them go. Let them have it. What's the big deal? What's the big deal? You know what I mean? Again, I'm from an era when there were guys getting beat down, killed, because you stepped on somebody's shoes. So this is something that has been in our community, in our world, going from 0 to 100 for a very, 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 very long time. And again, relating it to TV, movies, music, I want to bring an example, and I bring this up: the Honeymooners. I mean, a lot of young people here may not remember the Honeymooners, but those who remember the Honeymooners, this was the Jackie Gleason show. And one of the things that he would say, he said, you know what, Alice? I'm going to whop you to the moon. I mean, he talked about how he was going to go upside her head. This is what we've seen. So you think that somebody didn't mimic that when they got off there, tell their old lady or told their girl that they're going to go upside their head? These things, these learned behaviors from TV, from music, from media, these things, they go on. So, but again, it's being accountable. It's one thing that my nephew, he will always bring to our attention, me and my other brother, he would bring to our attention. He was like, yo, when you make a mistake, you know what I mean? Chest pump, like Kobe does. When Kobe misses the three or he does something wrong, Kobe chest pump. He'd be like, my bad, and run back up the court. So that chest pump and saying, my bad, it takes a man to apologize. It takes a man, it takes a real person. Because there's some females, it takes a real person to say, you know what? My bad, man. I apologize.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what we need to start at, is being accountable for self for the part that you played.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. See, that's key. That's key right there. We're going to continue the conversation with that. Let me take a quick break. We are speaking with Herman Davis, entrepreneur and community activist and co-founder of Peace and Love Worldwide, an organization that is focused on bringing awareness to violence, and especially domestic violence in our communities, and letting folks know that violence is a choice, and you don't have to go from 0 to 100. Somebody has to make the decision to stop and to de-escalate and use that level of forgiveness to build communities where we actually have love and compassion and not just, aggression and anger. This is Helana here live on Daybreak, here with you on 96.1 FM, WURDradio.com, 900 on your AM dial. Guest hosting for Thera Martin. It is currently 6:41 a.m. here on Philadelphia in Eastern Time Zone, and we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Einstein Bariatrics wants to talk with you about how losing weight can impact every aspect of your life. They know weight loss surgery is no easy decision, but will be with you every step of the way. With nationally recognized expertise and a full team to support you from the moment you reach out, Einstein is committed to doing whatever it takes to help you succeed long after your surgery. They've already helped thousands start a new chapter in their lives and will do the same for you. This changes everything. Get started with a free information session at EinsteinWeightLoss.com.
Need a new mattress? Stop by to see Julian, the mattress man, located at 7421 Stenton Avenue. You deal directly with the owner, Julian, to ensure the best prices on name brand mattresses like Sealy, Posturepedic. Call 215-424-5550. That's 215-424-5550.
On May 21st, I am asking all Philadelphians to come out and vote for Fareed Abdullah for City Council at large. I understand that politics can seem unfair for the common people, but I want you to know that I am a fighter for liberation. My plan to reform education, criminal justice, and gentrification will help in creating a stable economic base for generations to come. I implore you to believe in change, but most of all, believe in yourself. I am the voice for the voiceless. Push number 81 for a new one.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
Using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Save the date for an important mayoral candidates forum Thursday, May 2nd at the 1st District Plaza, 3801 Market Street, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Presented in part by Women Connect and the Black Women's Leadership Council.
Now, a traffic update
On Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Unbound.org. Jam Ride 95 in Philadelphia this morning. Northbound jam Penn's Landing through Girard. Accident there off to the right. Southbound Cider jam Cottman Avenue down through Girard. Then southbound jammed again from Ridley Park down to 320 with an accident. Looking at the Vine Expressway westbound delays. Parkway through the Schuylkill eastbound delays 8th Street into I-95. Schuylkill eastbound Boulevard to Spring Garden. Busy westbound jamming the Boulevard through Belmont. 42 northbound building 168 through 295. 55 at a jam from Deptford into 42 now. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You could help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. For more traffic information, log on to SignalAlert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now back to Daybreak
With Thera Martin.
on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live at wordradio.com.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to the show. This is Halana here live on Daybreak, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial, yep, WURDradio.com. Guest hosting for Thera Martin. And we are speaking with Herman Davis, who is an entrepreneur and community activist and the co-founder of Peace and Love Worldwide. If you would like to weigh in on this conversation around why are we going from 0 to 100 in our communities and what exactly is going on, and share your story of either overcoming violence in your community or in your home life, or even how you've been working with forgiveness, how you're finding a way to forgive people, even from the biggest of offenses to the smallest, give us a call. The number is 215-634-8065.
I'm warm now, Rock. I could sit down, Rock.
The number is 215-634-8065. And toll free, you can also call at 1-866-361-0900. So we were speaking with Herm just before the break about the importance of, using forgiveness as a tool, to overcome this conversation around domestic violence in our communities. Herm, my question is to you, where do you see this going? Imagining that your work amplifies, right? Peace and love becomes really a worldwide thing, and folks really use forgiveness and love and compassion and crucial conversations, which I would say that what you did at that auto store was a crucial conversation, right? You apologized on behalf of the person, you followed up with the person who did the offense, and you just brought peace and love to the conversation, right? So imagine that this movement really takes off, right? You experienced a really tragic situation in 1985. You started the organization in the 2000s. Now you're making your way, into this work really even deeper. What do you imagine? Like, what is your vision, your hope, and your dream for peace and love as a movement? Like, what would our world look like when, we're able to bring all of these conversations to the space, and what you did in that auto store becomes a new norm, right, in our communities? What do you see happening for us? What do you see kind of coming down the pike as a trend in this situation?
Okay, I'm just repeating your question to my Facebook Live. She asked me, what do I imagine what peace and love to be?
When it goes viral, when it spreads,
when peace and love goes viral, what do Herman imagine when peace and love goes viral? Well, first of all, you have to have an imagination. Okay, that's first of all, and I have a hell of a imagination. Second of all, we're not in heaven. Okay, we're not in heaven. This here is hell on earth. We're in the dunya, so it's everyday challenges. So do I think that everybody's going to be skipping and it's going to be a certain kind of look? No, I don't envision that. But we can decrease it. You know what I mean? We have over 300 and something murders. We can be at 100 and something murders. We can, our kids can make better choices. Our parents can be better parents. Our fathers can be better fathers. Our mothers can be better mothers. We can help our seniors a little more. Just the choices could be better. It could be a tad bit brighter every day. You know, things could change, and you know, it could be more. Can you imagine watching the news and they were broadcasting the worst argument versus the murders? Oh my gosh, it was an argument at McDonald's. You know what I mean? But then it plays out how that argument played out at McDonald's, and it's now we're going 100 and something days, and there hasn't been one killing. You know, so those are the things that I think that we can decrease violence. I think that we can decrease the badness. We're not going to get rid of it because that's just not how things is designed.
Right,
you know
but we can reduce it.
But we can reduce it.
Significantly,
you know what I mean?
right.
Significantly. And I think that's what my imagination is. Not to mention my imagination is that everybody will have a peace and love sticker on the back of their car. Everybody will have on a peace and love shirt, and the peace and love logo will be like the pink ribbon, and it's everywhere.
I love that. I'm trying to get me a peace and love, shirt. But you know, it's funny knowing about your work and having met you, years ago. I have seen a lot of cars around the city of Philadelphia with the peace and love logo on the back. And it's almost like it is like that connecting piece where you see the logo and you're like, oh, okay, that person must be about it. You know what I mean? Or you see it and you're like, did you forget that you put this on your, did you forget you put this logo on your car? Because you just cut me off and you got a peace and love sticker. So it's I love your logo. I love the constant reminder of bringing peace and love to our communities and, putting those statistics out there like, listen, these are the domestic abuse and these are the domestic violence statistics that we are, experiencing in our communities, and what can we do about it, right? There are a lot of conversations that, and I love that you said that domestic violence is not just a man's problem, because the truth is, 30% of women, have either assaulted a partner in their lifetime or they've been assaulted, right? Like 1 in 4 men have experienced some version of physical assault by a partner in their lives, right? Like 25% of women have experienced violence. In the same way about, 1 out of 7 men have experienced some sort of severe violence. So this stuff is real. This is not, I love how you said.
Domestic violence, it's not always physical.
Exactly.
There are so many different sections on domestic violence.
Exactly.
Or domestic abuse. It's not even funny. So, one of the ones that I have been talking about lately is gaslighting. You know what I mean? That is one of the most vicious.
It really is.
Attacks than I ever know, because that affects you. That's somebody coming at you mentally, and then you're questioning everything that's going on, and you're looking at it, and it's like, wow.
Oh, yes. 100%. And what you just said was not just domestic violence, but also emotional abuse, gaslighting. We have a caller on the line, Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones, welcome to the conversation. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you so much for this wonderful conversation, especially starting on a Monday. Just wanted to say quickly that the verse comes to mind, blessed are the peacemaker, for they shall see God, and are called the children of God. And love is the greatest gift of all. And we can definitely find opportunities to be peaceful and peacemaker if we just stay woke, because there are so many areas that we are confronted or in every day. So I encourage us all to take this message to heart, and let's be the peacemakers and the love makers, because it is definitely possible. And as Mr. Davis said, we cannot, this is, we're somewhat living in hell, but we do make our own heaven here as well. So we really do have to be aware of the many times that we are given throughout the day in our home. Wake up saying good morning to each other. It starts from the home, from the time that you wake up. Thank you. I know you're running out of time, but this is a wonderful topic. Another thing I like, yes, violence is a choice. And violence is not only with guns, it's with our words. So we do have to be very careful. Have a wonderful day. And I'm enjoying all the messages that you've been bringing to us, Halana. God bless. Take care.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Jones. Exactly what she just said is right on topic. We can be the peacemakers. We can bring the folks bringing love to the conversations. Violence is a choice, and you can make that choice to not engage. You can choose to not go from 0 to 100. You can be careful with your words, because don't you know that's the beginning of the whole conversation anyway. This starts with the words, starts with a funky look that usually goes then to the next level with that physical element.
Halana, let me just say, I'm guilty. I've said some hurtful things.
Exactly.
I've done that.
We all have.
We're all, like, Herm's not perfect. I look it, but I'm not. You know what I mean? I've made some mistakes. I've had conversations with my wife, with my kids, with friends. I've done some things, but learning or realizing what you did wrong, that's the sign of growth. To me, that's how you grow. You be like, damn, I messed up. I shouldn't have did that. Oh, I got to know not to do that. Oh, I got to do this differently. That is the sign of that is the start of growth. For one, accepting what you did wrong. Well, for one, acknowledging what you did wrong, then accepting what you did wrong, and then trying to right that wrong. And it's a whole process. It's not something that you can watch this or listen to what I'm saying or listen to your show and then wake up and be a totally different person. No, growing, it takes time. So again, planting that seed. When you plant that seed has to be watered. It takes time. Then you got to allow God to come in and do his work. So even in all of this, so we can start and say everything that we say, but we still got to allow God to do his work on us and pay attention to what God is doing, and also get out of God's way and allow him to do his work. See, we interrupt and we think that we go, oh, I got it now. Oh, let me jump in. Oh, I got it. No. It takes some time. You really gotta. I mean, praying, meditating, all those things is huge, But to the caller that called in, let me say she's right. It's not always a weapon, because my sister wasn't shot, my sister wasn't stabbed, my sister was choked to death, and that's something, again, a choice. He could have stopped choking my sister, and she could have been getting her grasp on her airbag. You know what I mean? But it was a choice to sit there and strangle her until she felt breathless and fall to the ground. You know what I mean? But again, the power of forgiveness, the power, again, I'm Muslim. So one of the things that Muslims say is we everything that happens is not a mistake. Me being on this phone call and this interview with you is not a mistake. Me bumping into somebody, it's called the cut of a law. It's something that was ordained or meant to happen. So I have to accept that my sister's death was written or ordained to happen. And guess what? I probably wouldn't be doing the work that I do. I probably wouldn't be having the conversations I'm having if that never happened, because I've never seen me being a supporter of domestic violence.
Before that.
Never.
Right.
Before that.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Even after that. Even after that, I didn't, I'm 21, 23, 24, 20, 30. I never seen this being something that I was going to be doing or talking about.
Especially dedicating your life and your career to. Yeah, I think that's incredible. We have Herman Davis on the line, Peace and Love, and I would love for everybody to, as we close out this segment, to go to his website, weneedpeaceandlove.com. Very easy. It's spelled just the way it sounds. weneedpeaceandlove.com. And isn't that just the truth? And when you get there, please take the pledge, right? Please take the Peace and Love pledge to set an example and show our world your commitment to our more peaceful and loving future. Sign up for their newsletter, get the news and updates about their movement. The next generation is waiting for us to show them how to live and love more peacefully. And so go to weneedpeaceandlove.com if you want to be involved with Herm, the work that he's doing. Take the pledge to be peaceful and to be loving. And this is a movement that I really think should go viral and that should spread everywhere. Thank you so much, Herman, for your time today.
All right, thank you.
Thank you as well. That is my show for today, lovely people. This is Helana here live in the building here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial. What a fabulous conversation we had today. I know I came in Monday just shooting my shots, like we just took it there all the way, but in the best way possible. And remember that you can always catch us on Facebook Live, streaming the shows. For those of you that may not have access to the radio, I know radios in the home is kind of an old school thing, but get you a radio because you need to be listening to WURD every day. We got a lot of good shows going on, you know what I mean? So go ahead and just go on Amazon and get you a new radio, put that in the house so you can be tuned in and tapped in and make sure you are getting that information that you need each and every single morning. This is Helana here live on Daybreak, guest hosting for Thea Martin, each and every day with you from Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. live in the building on WURD. And I love you all so very, very much, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Remember this, if nothing else, the love, the peace, and the joy that you seek, it lives within you. So no matter what comes your way, no matter who gets on your nerves today, make that choice that you don't have to go from 0 to 100. You could de-escalate, you could relax, you could take a deep breath, use these meditation practices, everything else that I talk about. Bring yourself down, all right? Because it is just not that deep. All right. I will talk with you all tomorrow, and I love you all so much. Have a great day.
What's cheesy, topped with a fluffy egg and crisp applewood smoked bacon? Easy. McDonald's new $2 breakfast deal. For a limited time, get a flaky bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit for just $2. And if you're craving something savory and sweet, get a delicious bacon, egg, and cheese McGriddles for the same price. Hurry in and bite into this